Hello, hello. Sorry for the delay in today's live stream. We were having some very exciting technical difficulties where nothing was working. So welcome. I'm just going to go ahead and pop in our question of the day. Welcome. Today we're painting. Oh, nope. Today we're painting a sunflower. Let's see, today's question is, what is your favorite type of flower? All right, now without further ado, welcome. Thanks for hanging in here with me. We're just tweaking the live stream, trying to find the best options here. Today's options were not it. So we are talking about our loose florals today. So loose florals is a term to describe, the effect of kind of working somewhat quickly and allowing it to be more interpretive and more not exactly like hyper realistic. The goal is to create something and really allow those wet and wets to play together. So we've talked a lot about like wet and wet and washes and how to add water and color and all that jazz. And today we're going to bring a lot of those pieces together to create some loose florals. Okay. Y'all, I just got to grab my cup of coffee because it is too far away from me. Good lordy day. Okay, I got it. We're here. We're here. Perfect. Ooh, so we've got some peonies, orchids, peony. Love it. Beautiful. Okay, so let's get a paintbrush. When we're talking about loose watercolor, we're thinking about the shape of what we're painting. And I find a lot of people are like, okay, so loose, you got to go fast. You got to go like, and that is not really what we're going for here. I actually think that it requires a little bit more forethought because since we're working with wet and wet, we really want to make sure that we have kind of everything ready to go so we're not spending time like mixing and all that jazz. So I'm going to add my palette to the stage and we're going to go ahead and mix up our colors, okay? And we're going to want like a pretty ample amount. So I know I'm going to want a nice yellow. I'm actually going to need to clean off some space here on my palette because it is messy. Okay, and you're going to want paper towels for sure. Yeah, my paper towels are like on the floor across the room. So that's where we are this morning. So I'm just dipping my my paper towel in some water and I'm just clearing a little space here so that I can kind of have some some space to mix my yellow. Okay, so I'm grabbing some transparent yellow and I want to make it a little bit, just a little creamy. So I'm adding in some of this. I think it's Indian yellow. Might add in a little New Gamboge. So the New Gamboge, I think, is the only color on here that isn't Mayberry blue, but I do love a New Gamboge. So that's nice. I just want to make sure I have enough. And we are going to kind of go right into it. I'll paint it twice. So if you want to watch the first time, and then I can talk you through it the second time. That might be a good option. So then for the middle, I'm going to mix up some of this kind of dark reddish brown. I've got a little bit of there. So I've got a red. You can add like a little bit of green to kind of tone it down a little bit, and maybe some blue or like a purple. Getting something kind of right in there. And then I am going to mix up like a nice bright green. So I've got, I think there's like a little bit of oxide of chromium in here and probably, it's hard to tell because like we mixed this, the last couple of days. We've been working hard on this palette for so long, all month. And that's like the fun thing that also makes it a little tricky for like color recipes. So actually, if you guys are in the comments, want to let me know like some of your questions about like mixing colors and color theory. I know that's like a common thing that people want to know more about. So if you have any specific questions, let me know, because I'd love to dig into that in like future live streams. Okay, so we've got our colors mixed up over here. When I am thinking about this shape, I've mixed up my colors. I'm ready there. I've got mostly clean water. Now I'm going to be thinking about where I want my sunflower and what techniques I want to use. So I'm going to have my sunflower kind of like it's opening up like this way. So like it's going to be not just straight on. I know that I want to make sure that I leave a little bit of a white line between my petals here and the center, but I do want the center to connect to the petals over here. It's a little bit kind of hard to contextualize without doing it. I'm just walking you through the things that I think about before putting brush to paper. And then green, I don't know that I want my green to mix, but I do feel like I can kind of do my green later. And yeah. Okay, I think I'm ready to start. I'm going to start with my leaves. So as I'm doing my leaves, I am going to be taking my brush. Let's like zoom in a little bit here if we can. I'm going to be taking my brush and going thin, thick, thin. And the way that I'm doing that is with the pressure of my brush. So here, I'm kind of imagining like where my sunflower petals are. I'm doing like the first layer. We can always add more. And I didn't do any like pre-planning. I'm just kind of winging it here. I mean, I like, planned this lesson, but I didn't pre-draw anything on my sheet. So there's no guidelines. I am creating this shape as I go. The reason why I don't like to do a ton of like pre-drawing with my watercolor, with my loose watercolor, is because you're really going to see that pencil line, and I don't really want to be going in with the pencil. Okay, so I have a nice fun little flower here. I've kind of made these leaf petals a little bit shorter, and that is to kind of indicate that it's turning up and looking at the sun. So now I'm going to add the center. And I'm just going to do like some dot, 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 dot. And I'm okay with it connecting with the ones on this upper side, but I really don't want it to connect with the ones on this side. The reason for that is these are the bottoms of the petals. They've got more shadow in there. I like the blendy blend, but I really want to give this a nice crisp edge over here to indicate that they are coming up toward the camera. So I think having a nice, not camera, well, I guess, yeah, I mean, I'm using a camera. I don't know, whatever, to indicate that they're more forward. So they've got, a nice little edge. So I've added a basic layer. I'm adding some scumbling here. We learned about that yesterday. So I'm adding in a little bit more color just to really bring that home. Whoop, let's put in my coffee. Now I'm mixing up a little bit, just like a little bit more orangey, some kind of I've used a lot of transparent colors so far, and I want to include a little bit of opacity. And I'm actually going to just add this to some of the ends here. This one is already dried, so that's okay. Just to add a little extra pizzazz. And some dimension. I really like how this yellow that we created first is pretty cool. But I like how it almost looks like a little dandelion. I like how fluffy it is. And then I'm going to start with my stem, okay? So I am going to come in here. I'm just going to come down, make a nice, nothing too crazy. The stems are usually like pretty thick for sunflowers. I'm going to thicken that up. But right now I really want to work on the leaves. When you're doing leaves, I like to leave a little bit of white for where that vein through the middle of the leaf is. And I don't like when doing loose watercolor, I really don't even like to kind of paint the whole leaf. I really just want to give the impression of a leaf. So I'm just kind of pushing my paintbrush down, like just and seeing where it goes, and that's going to be the shape of my leaf. That's what's guiding me. And this one is maybe getting a little bit more sunshine. So, oh my gosh, my paper towels are everywhere. So I'm going to add like a little bit more water to this side, okay? And I love how this brushiness here, I feel like that's almost like a little reflection. I'm going to leave it. I don't want to fuss with it too much. I'm going to add a little bit of blue to my green mixture to get like a nice deep color to give us some of the darker elements. Now, when you're doing, it's still wet and wet, so we can really add this nice darker color. And I'm just kind of tapping it in. I don't want to go too crazy with it, but I think it adds a really nice depth to the flower, to the petal. Nope, to the leaf. Oh my God, words, y'all. Okay, so now I'm going to thicken the stem. I have a pretty clean, dry brush. I'm just going to give it a little emphasis. I'm not filling the whole thing in. I want it to be still kind of sketchy, if you will. All right. And that is our loose flower. So we will do this again. I'll do this again with you so you can paint along and I can kind of talk us through it. Looking at this now, I think I might make my circle a little bit bigger, like my interior circle, and the petals can actually be a little bit shorter just based on what we know about how sunflowers look. I think this is a nice little composition. I might actually just scoot it up on the page a little bit more so it's a more full, like we've got a lot going on down here, but we've got this open spot right here at the top. So that is what's cracking. Like this part is, I'll make this maybe like a little bit lighter, Can you hear me? Sorry, I don't know why it got muted. Can you hear me now? Okay, so let's dig into it. Are we ready to do this together? So make sure you have your colors mixed up. We'll do it again. We want some nice light yellow, a fair amount of that. I mixed up a little bit of like kind of an orangey yellow too off to the side. I really like mixing colors in this way where I have my main color and then I make my little subcolors around it. I think that's helpful in creating like a cohesive color palette. I'm going to mix up a little bit more of my kind of brownish situation here. Yeah, so I've got kind of a variety of colors there. I'm going to get my light green ready to go again. God, I love this green gold. It's just yummy. And then I like how that, you know, that is an oxide of chromium. It looks like oxide of chromium from Winsor & Newton, but it's actually the sap green from Mammalian Blue. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to start with my clean your brush, Kate. going to start with my yellow. And I think I'm going to start, you know what? No, I am going to start with my yellow. So sometimes it just takes a little time to kind of think through. Okay, we're starting higher. So I'm going to just make my petals a little bit shorter. Start a little higher. And here I'm doing tip, push, up, tip, push, up. And this is how you're going to get that shape, that kind of petally shape. Paintbrushes, round paintbrushes especially, just lend themselves so much to petals and leaves. All right. It's kind of, I don't know. It's a very exciting little sunflower here. It's just marching to the beat of its own drum. Okay, now let's add in our pizzazzy colors, like our accent colors. I'm just pulling in like a little bit of my creamier, what color is that? Indian yellow. And just adding some pizzazz, and I'm not doing full brush strokes. I'm just kind of tippy tapping little, these would be like the petals that are behind, and so they're not the main attraction, but they, you know, we got some pizzazz here. Okay, and so you can see it's still really wet. Some parts are drier than others, and that's okay. So let's go ahead and scumble in our little middle. I'm okay with it touching here on the upper right-hand side, but I really want to keep a nice crisp edge from the lower left-hand side to indicate that, oop, well, best laid plans, right? Got a little bleeding there, but that's okay. This is to just emphasize that these are kind of turning up, looking at the sun. We're not able to see those ones there. Maybe just like a little bit right there. I don't know. That looks weird. Okay. All right. So now I don't know, I just feel like throwing in a little extra pizzazz into my petals here. Just adding a little bit of orange. All right, now I'm gonna add some green because the sunflower, it has this little like kind of green tendrils behind it that, like when it opens up, you know, it has those like little flaps, not tendrils, but this is just a little bit of that. So we're seeing some of that. And then when you're drawing your stem, remember it's coming from the center of the flower. So we're not going to draw it from here, but as you're going down, like imagine it's coming from here. So we don't want our stem over here. We don't want it over here. We want it to come from the center. And it always looks more interesting if it's not straight up and down. Okay. There we go. Then let's go ahead and do our little leaf-a-rooney. And sunflower leaves are a little jagged. They're nice and big. This one's like coming toward the viewer. I'm leaving a little line in the center. And I'm not, I mean, is that exactly how I dreamed it would be? No. If I had been going slower, probably would have been okay. I think when so this is something that I run into when I'm doing loose paintings is I feel like, oh, I gotta hurry. But if you're using nice juicy paper and good paints, you should have enough water to get done what you need to get done. Like this is still wet up here. We still have time. Where's the fire? So if you're feeling like you need a good lesson in like meditation, like patience and trusting the process, I think loose watercolor can be a really great form of meditation. because it just kind of takes some time to get in the flow. Like you might, because it goes a little bit faster than super detailed painting, you can actually do a couple different tries and examples, right? Like it doesn't have to be, oh my gosh, I've worked on this for 47 hours. Like what's happening? You know, so you can try out a couple of things, which is so fun. And okay, I'm gonna add a little bit more dark under here. That's where the shadow's coming from. I think I'm gonna add a little deeper, darker pizzazz in our center of our flower here. I want to really be careful of that line. Doing a little scumble. Okay, love it. All right, so as you can see, I think it got better with the second one. They're two very different paintings. We use the same general techniques. Sometimes it just takes a while to kind of get the hang of the shape of the flower and the feel of the leaves and the paint and the brushes. Like every morning when we're coming into this, I'm assuming that y'all haven't been painting for hours before now. Like we're coming in cold, right? So I think it's really important to like, just like with warming up for sports or whatever, you know, you have to do your stretches, you have to do your, I don't know, jog, clearly very sports person here. You got to warm up, whatever. And I think with watercolor, it's really important that you warm up as well, especially if you're working on something that, you know, needs to be presentable. Do I always warm up before I paint? No, but it always, when I do, I'm always like, yeah, I should do this. So one thing that you can warm up with is these loose florals. Sorry, a little coffee break. Okay. And I want to just kind of show you a couple other warm-ups that you can do that are really nice and easy and just get your hand going for the day. So like we were talking about with those petal shapes, you can go thin, thick, thin, thick, thin, thick, and kind of make these little sneakies. And the way that I'm making it thin and thick, I'm using a round brush. So I'm going on like my tiptoes and then splat, tiptoes, splat. So this not only gives you a good sense of your paper, how much paint is on the brush, what your paints are like. It also just gets your hand into the motion. So another thing you can do is just do leaves. Okay, so maybe draw a stem somewhere like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm just going to kind of do the same thing and practice doing them at odd angles and getting my hand warmed up to move in the different ways that I need it. Remember, you can always move your paper. Goodness gracious. Y'all have been here through all my brain activity today. Woo. I like to add in, you know, some other colors. Maybe we add a little bit of my fave, the turquoise. And this gives us a chance to just warm up our palette, get our palette ready to paint. Gives us a chance to like see what colors are drawing to us, because when we're just kind of randomly selecting colors, it can be a really great chance to see what we're gravitating toward, and maybe that might inspire where you're going with your painting. You can do two leaves, two-sided leaves. Leave the little stem. So if you want to know more about leaves, I have a whole series of different kinds of leaves on Instagram and TikTok. But leaves are my favorite thing to paint when I am warming up. And you could just, I mean, you could go all day. These are so fun, so relaxing. I think you can probably tell just how when I'm talking, when I'm doing my leaves, I feel like my voice gets calmer, my heartbeat slows down. I just start to get in the groove. Whereas these ones, I was like, bah, 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 right? Like spazzy McSpazzer pants. So I have created this ritual or habit of when I'm painting leaves, that's my brain relaxing time. And because that's kind of my go-to, my body responds to that. So think about like what exercises would be relaxing for you. So yes, we talked about loose florals, but we're also talking about how you can start your watercolor practice with a little warm up. So it might be like wetting the whole page and just dropping paint in. It might be drawing, like trying to just draw some straight lines, like, you know, just like that, getting some brush control, seeing how smooth you can get them or whatever, right? So those are some ideas. This was our painting today. I hope to see y'all's on the interwebs. Please tag me if you do it. I would love to see your sunflowers. Thank you so much for joining me today. Tomorrow, remember that our class is going to be in the evening, and we are going to be doing, let me just check really quick. We're going to be doing a pattern, and we're going to be making a pattern with some mums, or I might do asters. I might switch it around a little bit, but we're going to be using our paper, just a piece of paper, to create a repeatable pattern. And I've been wanting to try this for a while, and I've done lots of research and videos, but I haven't like taken the step to do it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it with y'all. So it's going to be a little bit different where we're figuring it out together. I wanted to kind of show you what it's like behind the scenes inside this crazy noggin of mine when we're creating and trying new things and showing you it's okay to suck at things. So yeah, hopefully you'll join me. It's going to be tomorrow night at 7:30 PST. Don't quote me on that, but you'll get it in your email tomorrow morning. So thank you so much. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day and happy painting. Okay, bye.